A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. We've got the latest of news lined up from here at home and across the globe for you tonight. My name is Charlene Benedict and with me is my co-anchor Sarla Fonseca. Good evening, Sarla.
Good evening, Charlene. Well, before we head into our stories, first we'll take a look at your top stories.
9 years since the end of the 3-decade-long conflict. Heavy rains forecast for tonight. What is the reason for Colombo to experience floods within minutes of rainfall? Colombo Mayor orders to suspend all fines charged relating to parking meters. Was the World Bank loan for waste management let go as authorities could not follow a proper tender procedure? 28 million Sri Lankan rupees among items confiscated at former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak's residence.
Today marks 9 years since the end of 3 decades-long conflict that battered the country. Events were organized across the country to mark this event.
President Maithripala Sirisena tweeted he expresses his deepest gratitude to all Sri Lankan war heroes on this National War Heroes Commemoration Day. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa tweeted as saying, 9 years ago, Sri Lanka became free from the terrorism of the LTTE and says, we must remember and honor the brave members of our military and their families who sacrificed so much for us to be able to live in peace.
Today is an important day as it was on a day like today that terrorism was defeated and peace dawned. We must remember all these, including the 3 armed forces who were committed towards this. Since the beginning of the war, many innocent lives were lost. We need to remember them as well.
I think it's appropriate that today being the National War Heroes Day, that we express our gratitude to the armed forces and the security establishment that pioneered the defeat of terrorism and thereby secure the territorial integrity, sovereignty, political independence and democracy of Sri Lanka. It is our moral duty to remember all who made tremendous sacrifices in order to secure peace, democracy and tranquility for our motherland.
A special event took place at the Gajaba Regimental Centre Army Camp in Salyapura, Anuradhapura to remember the war heroes. The event took place under the auspices of Major General Shavendra Silva. A message from the Army Commander was read out at the ceremony.
What we achieved on a day like today in 2009 is not a win that can be recalled with happy memories. What we achieved is a victory that put an end to bitter memories of the loss of life and property among all communities in this country. The victory will be a resounding victory when terrorism never raises its head again in this country.
An event to remember those killed in the fighting that took place in Velamulli Vaikalad in Mullative was held today. The event saw the participation of the students from the University of Jaffna, the Northern Chief Minister and several other politicians.
Sri Lanka consented to install a hybrid inquiry panel before the world body. Now they refuse to abide by their promise and undertaking. This would point out to the world the manner in which our successive governments for 70 years have deceived and fooled our Tamil people. This is why we have been agitating that further extensions of time should not be granted to the Sri Lankan government by the international community to fulfill their obligations. They never would fulfill their obligations. Giving time would not make any difference. I like to refer to what the Commissioner said at the human rights sessions, UN human rights sessions the other day. He asked, and I quote, to explore other avenues including the application of universal jurisdiction that could foster accountability, close, unquote. May I join the Commissioner in making the said request of the international community to explore other avenues, including the application of universal jurisdiction that could foster accountability.
The 58th Division of the Sri Lanka Army provided refreshments through a danceler to the people who attended this event. Parliamentarian Vimal Weerawansa presided over a remembrance event where tributes are made to the Panadura Malamulla War Heroes Memorial.
Today there is no victory celebration. The United Nations Human Rights Commission, the United States of America in their resolution say we cannot celebrate this victory. They tell us not to do so. The Department of Meteorology forecasts showers exceeding 100 millimeters in several parts of the country within the next few hours. According to the department, this is due to a disturbance in the low atmospheric area in the country.
The flood before this was not as bad as this. The drainage system is not cleaned properly. The municipal council is not doing anything properly. We are still using the drainage system built by the colonizers 300 years ago. There is no point in having urban development on the top of that.
I'm currently in Fort Colombo and we have been experiencing showers during the morning hours in several parts of the island. And in Colombo right now, we're still experiencing showers and severe traffic congestion is also reported from the area and many roads have been inundated.
We are constructing certain areas where rainwater collects. Renovations are taking place at the Kanatha junction as well. Work on the Norris Canal will be launched soon. Water from the Norris Canal passes a few areas and finally falls into the Bere Lake near the Lotus Tower. But there are a large number of houses that have been constructed and we are facing a difficulty in expanding it. So we have launched a project to carry the water from Deans Road through Dali Road to the Bere Lake. We cannot excavate in Peta. We will construct a large underground tank and pump out the water from that.
A special program to raise awareness on how to be prepared ahead of the floods took place today.
The campaign organized under the GUM at the Disaster Management Initiative was held at the Kasturivatta Balika Vidyalaya in Baddegama. The program was organized for a second time due to popular demand. The participants were given practical training on how to be prepared for floods and how to save lives during a flood. The program took place with the assistance of the Asia Pacific Alliance on Disaster Management, or APAD, the Police Life Saving Unit, the Civil Defence Force and several other state institutions.
Has the garbage issue in Colombo received a permanent solution? News First delves deep into this issue today.
I'm currently at the Meetharamul garbage dump here in Kolanava. Exactly a year back, tragedy struck at this very place. Many lives were lost, many people were displaced, and lots of houses were damaged. In the aftermath of the event, government put forward some solutions to prevent this kind of a situation or a tragedy happening in future. However, the question is, were they able to put forward those solutions into implementation?
Around 150 to 200 metric tons of garbage is collected within the Colombo municipality, and it is disposed across several areas. The disposal of garbage is taking place according to a temporary program.
We have reached an agreement for the year 2019 to dispose our garbage. A cell will be ready in Arwakalu by this September. We can dispose garbage there.
Garbage is being disposed in Keravalapitia, and nobody knows how it is being done, as it is named a high security zone. The recycling centre in Dompe has limited space, although garbage transported from Colombo is disposed there. The Urban Council put forward a proposal to tax the general public when disposing garbage. Before we tax the public, we need to see if the Urban Council has provided the basic facilities required by the public. The World Bank agreed to provide a concessionary loan of $115 million to implement a waste management program that is being carried out by the government. However, the government is yet to obtain those funds. The project is funded by the state. We can complete the project using state funds. That will be only half of what we receive from a foreign loan. When News First inquired, the World Bank said an agreement was immediately reached to grant a loan amounting to $115 million to fund the project. The World Bank said the agreement highlighted the importance of granting the loan following the proper tender procedure. However, the World Bank did not grant nor cancel the loan, as the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development did not continue with the due procedure. Why was the concessionary loan not obtained from the World Bank? Was it because the proper tender procedure was not followed?
Mayor of Colombo, Rosisena Naika, issued an order to suspend the fines charged via parking meters set up in the Colombo municipality. A situation arose where many people had to pay huge sums after just a few days. The general public weren't made aware of this. A ticket is being left on the front of the vehicle until they go home and read it. They don't know if you can pay this in a week or a day. There were many such particular problems regarding this. I believe that as the mayor of Colombo, I should look into this, and I ordered the commissioner to suspend the fines charged in this manner under pending approval from council. There were instances where some paid 10,000 rupees and even 37,000 rupees. This is clearly unfair. There has to be a better mechanism. Another complaint from the general public is that when money is deposited into the meter, they don't receive the change. I see with this as the people being ripped off their money. I will look into the legal aspect of this as to whether we can terminate the contract. Until then, the imposing of fines has been completely suspended.
Some alarming news. A viral flu spreading across the southern province has been identified by authorities. The Provincial Health Services Director, Dr. G. Vijayasuriya, said 4 types of viruses are responsible for this virus fever.
Due to the spread of this virus, a large number of patients have been admitted to the Karapetia Teaching Hospital in Galle. 11 months infant, a resident from Aludgama, Aludvidya, died yesterday from this virus fever. According to the Provincial Director of Health Service, for the past 1.5 months, 15 had died and 150 are receiving treatment in the hospital. Today, a discussion was held at the Medical Research Institute in Colombo regarding this.
This illness has not become an epidemic as yet. There is a possibility of such illnesses from being reported during May and June each year. I believe we can control the spread within the next 2 weeks.
The IMF had commended the Sri Lankan government for amending fuel prices with the introduction of price mechanism for fuel.
In order for the International Monetary Fund to release the 4th tranche of the extended fund facility, one requirement was that the government introduce an automatic fuel pricing formula before June 2018. Recently, the government decided to increase fuel prices, and following this decision, the IMF says it will complete its review on the 1st of June.
There's a question on Sri Lanka about It's actually also on the fuel pricing mechanism, asking about that automatic pricing mechanism for fuel. So we think that automatic fuel pricing mechanism makes a major step toward completing the energy pricing reforms that are underway in Sri Lanka and minimizes the fiscal risks. If implemented properly, the formula-based pricing will eliminate fuel subsidies that benefit the rich rather than the poor. We think it would benefit Sri Lanka and the economy. And I can tell you our board is scheduled to discuss Sri Lanka's completion of its fourth review on June the 1st.
How did the International Monetary Fund gain the right to make decisions on Sri Lanka from within the rooms of the IMF headquarters in Washington? What do they know about the people who are suffering in the remote villages? Is it not an insult on the nation when such organizations and various countries are allowed to influence important decisions of the country? Should there be provisions for such influencers to cover up the failure of governments? Should such organizations and other countries be allowed to exert influence in such a manner?
The People's Mic.
The people face a number of issues. None of those issues have been solved. We requested for a new era where there would be no theft and intimidation. Accidents are on the rise. Why? The people have no pavement to walk on. The law needs to be enforced, but there is no law. Don't the people have a right to inquire about the law?
Politically, it's a disaster, and people are suffering now. People are having all the burdens, right, to survive. They are responsible. Politicians are responsible, right? They are not doing anything because they are not worried about the masses, people, right? They do what they want. That's all.
This method of governance is weird. It is better to reduce the prices of goods or increase the wages of the people. If wages are not increased, even the children will be forced to beg on the streets. Bus fares are increased by 1 rupee and then at once by 5 rupees and so on. How can we travel in the bus? They put the burden on the people.
When we voted, what did we aspire for? They promised housing. Did they provide housing? Around 4 to 5 families live in one house. The responsibility for this lies with you.
The main problem is cost of living. By increasing the fuel prices, everything is going to be out of hand. Before increasing, the government should have thought about it. This is going to be a big calamity.
We cannot travel on the road. The people don't come to us anymore. Why? We say the fare will be increased by 10 rupees as the price of fuel has been increased. The people just walk away. Our economic situation is not in our favor. How much will the price of a tyre be? Forget about a tyre, we can't even afford a cup of tea. We cannot do anything because we are helpless.
The Court of Appeal has decided to take up the application filed by the beneficial owner of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Arjuna Aloysius, seeking bail again on the 25th of May for further consideration.
The petition filed with the Court of Appeal was taken up today in the presence of President of Court of Appeal, Justice P. Padman Surasena and Justice Arjuna Obesekara. The Court of Appeal issued the order taking into consideration the request made by the petitioner's attorney for the petition to be taken up by the judges who took the petition into consideration initially. Fourth Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna issued a reminder on the Attorney General to provide immediate advice for the investigations taking place against MP Namal Rajapaksa for misappropriating 70 million rupees donated by an Indian company named Krish Lanka to promote the game of rugby. The magistrate permitted MP Rajapaksa, who is the suspect in the case, to travel overseas until the 13th of July. The police FCID informed court they have requested bank details for their investigations over a sum of 700,000 euros provided by a Singapore financial institutions on 2 separate occasions to the name of Nimal Pereira, who is named as a witness in the case. The case was postponed to the 13th of July.
Dr. Saman Veerasinghe was appointed as an advisor for international affairs to President Maithripala Sirisena. Dr. Saman received his letter of appointment from President Maithripala Sirisena recently.
He previously served as a Sri Lanka ambassador to Russia from 2016 to 2018. He was a student of Mahinda College, Galle. Dr. Saman, who obtained his degree from the Russian Medical Academy in Moscow, maintained close diplomatic ties with Russia for many years.
The Worktorule campaign launched by the immigration and immigration officers citing several demands were called off. These officers launched their campaign at midnight yesterday, and this caused an inconvenience to the passengers who arrived at the airport.
Sri Lanka Immigration and Immigration Officers Association President Aruna Kanugala said, as the subject minister agreed to table a paper to the Cabinet of Ministers inclusive of their demands, they decided to call off the trade union action.
Build SL 2018, a housing and construction exhibition, was opened today by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in Colombo.
The housing and construction exhibition is taking place at the BMICH in Colombo. Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajith Premadasa, attended the event.
I wish to take this opportunity to bring to the attention of the Honourable Prime Minister here that I would also be submitting a new proposal before the government for ensuring good governance in the construction industry through an equitable payment procedure. Here. I have now obtained the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers to release the retention money by substituting it with a bank guarantee when the maximum retention is reached, facilitating the cash flow of the contractors and ensuring the successful completion of construction projects, maintaining their cost and time targets.
A rural housing project is being done under the Ministry of Sajith Premadasa. This is a rural housing project that was launched by his father. Today, the housing requirement is not limited to villagers. There is a need from the village. We can implement those rural programs.
Taking the stage in Sri Lanka for the very first time will be the front men of record-breaking musical entities Westlife and Boyzone teaming up in presentation of their concert series Boys Life.
Of course, this exciting event is presented by Yes 101. The Boys Life performance is currently underway at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana, and News First Joel Outscoon caught up with the stars for a brief interview earlier today.
How does it feel?
It's great. I'm delighted to be in Sri Lanka. We've had a long trip. We were in New Zealand and then we were in Australia, and now we've arrived to Sri Lanka. So we've had such a fantastic welcome. Everybody has been so hospitable.
I'd like to ask the same from you. How does it feel so far, and what do you think we'll have on offer?
Well, I think we're very excited. You know, this is our first time together to come to Sri Lanka, and they seem pretty excited, so we're very excited to be here, and we're looking forward to putting on a great show tonight.
The duo has come together as a separate name and a whole different new experience. How does it feel? How does this whole change work for you?
It works fantastic. It's a great opportunity that we have seized. We just feel very blessed, and we feel very honoured, and we're very appreciative to be given this opportunity. So
it's different. It's obviously different. There was in the beginning there was 10 members of both bands, and what Keith and I are doing, it was a little bit different. We obviously have our own take on the song.
That's a wrap of Primetime News for today. We leave you this evening with today's illustrated news by Asanka Ladwaheti. I'm Charlene Benedict.
And I'm Sarah Fonseca. Well, good night, Charlene.
Good night, Sarah.